Middle East war tension escalates. A series of missile attacks as response from Iran to Israel. A special emphasis on common challenges faced by Sri Lanka and Germany amidst new global economic tendencies. Deputy Health Minister responds to propaganda on drug shortages. The story on Savanagala brown sugar manufacturing. More protests on Udaya Gammampila. South Africa wins the World Test Cricket crown for the first time.
South Africa!
Moving on to those and other stories here at home now. Iran warns the UK, US and France it will target their bases and ships in the region if they help stop the strikes in Israel.
Iranian missiles struck multiple locations in Israel, resulting in at least 4 deaths and dozens of injuries in response to continued Israeli assaults on Iran. Iran said that Israeli attacks have killed at least 80 people, including women and children, and injured more than 320 others after it targeted cities, military installations and nuclear facilities. Israel's army military has warned Iran's military will likely launch another missile barrage at Israel tonight as well. Israeli spokesperson Brigadier General Efi Defrin says more than 40 Iranian sites were targeted, including air defense systems and command infrastructure. Iran's foreign ministry says it would be meaningless to join nuclear negotiations with the United States in Oman while it is under attack by Israel. The US has denied the Iranian allegation of being complicit in Israel's attacks and told Tehran at the UN Security Council it would be wise to negotiate over its nuclear program. The Israeli military says its airstrikes on Iran killed more than 20 Iranian Army and Revolutionary Guards commanders, including Armed Forces Chief Mohammad Bagheri.
The government has turned attention on the security of Sri Lankan nationals living in the Middle Eastern countries in the midst of the war situation between Iran and Israel. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism is in charge of taking necessary measures in this connection. The ministry has instructed Sri Lankans in Israel and Iran to act with great caution by taking into consideration the present situation in the Middle Eastern region. Emergency telephone services have been introduced for the assistance of the Sri Lankans. The ministry communique says information pertaining to the Sri Lankans living in these countries could be obtained by calling the numbers mentioned on the screen.
President Kumara Dissanayake, presently on an official visit to the Federal Republic of Germany, met the German Federal Minister for Economic Cooperation and Development, Ms. Reem Albali Radwan, at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in Berlin yesterday. The discussion focused on the shared economic challenges both countries face in the context of emerging global economic trends. The two sides engaged in a comprehensive dialogue on potential areas for further strengthening economic cooperation between Sri Lanka and Germany. The President acknowledged the long-standing history of bilateral cooperation between Sri Lanka and Germany, highlighting Germany's significant contributions to vocational training institutions such as the Ceylon German Technical Training Institute, as well as to the sectors like healthcare. The President conveyed his profound gratitude for this assistance. The discussion also focused on the importance of enhancing such contributions into mutually beneficial partnerships in the future. Joining the meeting were Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism Vijitha Herath and Sri Lanka's Ambassador to Germany Varuni Muthukumarana, along with other officials. President Kumara Dissanayake met with members of the Sri Lankan community residing in Germany yesterday. The event, organized by Sri Lankans living in Germany, was attended by a large number of professionals, entrepreneurs and investors of the Sri Lankan origin. President Dissanayake was warmly welcomed at the gathering and, addressing the audience, called for collective efforts in building a prosperous nation. He emphasized the importance of unity and contribution from all citizens, including those living abroad. The President also acknowledged the valuable role of overseas Sri Lankans in supporting the country's progress. He stated that a stable foundation has now been laid for rebuilding the country.
Deputy Minister Madura Daham Seniviratne has instructed the relevant officials to conduct a preliminary inquiry into the accident at the Rajavaka Mahavidyalaya in Balangoda and to hand over a report within a week. The Deputy Minister has also ordered to inform immediately the Divisional Secretary and the Timber Corporation of the existence of any unprotected trees within the school premises. A 17-year-old student was killed recently due to the falling of a part of a bow tree on a school building in the school. Director of Education of the Sabaragamuwa Province, Darshani Idamalkoda, said a 3-member committee comprising of 2 additional directors of the Provincial Education Department and a Deputy Director of Education had been appointed to conduct further investigations. The Deputy Minister has also instructed the relevant officials to focus on special attention on the construction of a new building in the place of the building destroyed in the incident. The Deputy Minister has also visited the Balangoda Base Hospital to look into the well-being of the students currently recovering from their injuries. Out of the 17 injured, only 6 currently receive treatment at the hospital. The Deputy Minister has also instructed the relevant sections to provide compensation via the Suraksha insurance coverage to the students currently undergoing treatment. The relevant divisions have also been informed on the need to grant justice to the family of the deceased through mediation of the Disaster Management Department and the Ministry of Education. Final rites of the student Hiruja, killed in the accident, was conducted today. The Deputy Minister and a group were present at the occasion to pay their last respects.
Deputy Minister of Health Hansaka Vijayamuni in a special statement says reports pertaining to shortages of essential medicines in hospitals are false. Deputy Minister Hansaka Vijayamuni said that some groups point out on drug shortages at certain government hospitals. He added that there is no shortage of drugs being used and diabetes, yet somewhat obstructions in the provision of certain types of drugs has been witnessed. Necessary remedies have been deployed to overcome shortages. A drug problem is not a novel feature. Sri Lanka has been affected by such a condition for many years. The Deputy Minister has also expressed optimism completely overcoming any shortage of medicine by the year 2026.
United Government Services Nurses Association has met Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa with the objective of having speedy solutions to several unresolved problems in the nursing service. The meeting was conducted at the Ministry of Health and Mass Media recently. Attention has been focused on this occasion regarding obtaining parliamentary approval for the passing of the Nurses University Act, which paves the way for the establishment of the Sri Lanka Nurses University. Discussion have also been centered on shortages in experienced nurses in major hospitals and also pertaining to their official designations and salary scales. The other issues that came under discussion included filling of nurses vacancies in Ayurvedic hospitals. It has been pointed out on this occasion that speedy solutions would be provided for requests that need short-term solutions. Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa was also engaged in a visit to the Kirivehera Raju Mahaviharaya recently, where he had called upon chief incumbent of the Viharaya, Venerable Kobavaka Dhamminda Thera. The minister has also enlightened the Venerable Dhamminda Thera on the program to provide an optimum health services to the residents through development of health centres.
The Road Development Authority informed that the Sripada Norton Bridge Road via Ginigathena and Diagala will be kept closed for a 10-day period from today till the 24th of this month for urgent maintenance work. A bridge built across the canalway which leads to the Kalni River in Lonakatlis area is reported to be remaining in an extremely dilapidated condition for a period of around 4 years. Residents say the bridge has been in disrepair for years, with recent rains worsening its condition. The closure follows concerns over a severely damaged bridge at risk of collapse. A new bridge will be constructed during this period. Motorists are advised to use the Norton Bridge Road, which lies across Kalugala, Polpitiya and Lakshapana.
A kilo of brown sugar is being sold for 240 rupees in the market. This is a type of sugar which is of high quality without the addition of any chemicals. The Palvatha sugar factory is using the latest technology to produce brown sugar without destroying its qualitative aspects. People in Bibila, Gurubava and Sevanagala as well as in Udawalawa toil their labor to fulfill the nation's brown sugar requirement. Sugarcane grown in fertile soil are being transported to the Palvatha and Sevanagala factories for sugar manufacturing using advanced technologies. The tractors laden with stocks of sugarcane are being weighed through technological means, and the owner of the stocks is able to see the data in an open digital screen. Mechanical equipment devised by the farmers and engineers in Palvatha area are being deployed in the transformation of canes into sugar. Only water is being used in the transformation process, which is being conducted within several hours. It is the pure cane juice which is turned into brown sugar. Research is underway to cultivate cane with higher sugar content. Reaping of thousands of canes being cultivated in tens of thousands of hectares is no easy task. The role of the authorities to safeguard the human labor used in the process by deploying appropriate technology has been a commendable feature. It is a deplorable fact that many youngsters leaving this hard profession are unable to withstand the harsh realities. A machine is able to spring water to an extent of around 1,000 meters, which is aligned with advanced agricultural methodologies being used worldwide. The sugarcane industry needs an enormous quantity of power. The strategies used to generate power via solar cells is most commendable. The irony of this issue is why the present generation is ignorant of the successful manufacturing of healthy brown sugar using high technology. Due to the fact that they continue to rely on poisonous sugar, the brown sugar remains stocked in the shortages. We move on to more local stories after this short break.
Live from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
And we are back with more local stories.
The 9th China-South Asia
Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya was the chief guest at the 2025 Silver Screen Awards Festival held at the BMICH in Colombo yesterday.
The aim was to felicitate artists who had nurtured the local cinema in the 1970-75 period. Veteran actress Airangani Serasinghe was presented with the Sumit Bibile Commemoration Golden Award by the Prime Minister. Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya said that honouring renowned artists who have devoted their lives to the advancement of cinema, which is one of the most popular art forms in the world, by protecting and standing up for them is a noble duty that belongs to the entire nation.
ප්‍රජාවක් ඉතින් ඔවුන් රැක බලා ගැනීම යුතුයකමක් හැටියට අපි දකිනවා.
The Prime Minister has also presided over the inauguration ceremony of the Culinary Art Food Expo 2025, South Asia's premier culinary and hospitality exhibition organised by the Chefs Guild of Lanka, held yesterday at the BMICH premises. A meeting between French Ambassador Remy Lambert and Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya was also held recently. The Prime Minister on this occasion has commended the French government for the support being extended through the Paris Club for Sri Lanka's debt restructuring programme. Another meeting between Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya and the Nepalese ambassador in Sri Lanka, Purna Bahadur Nepali, was also conducted. The meeting has focused attention on several issues, including the visa problem faced by Nepali nationals in Sri Lanka.
The Department of Meteorology forecast intermittent rainfall in the main areas of the island today as well. Heavy showers of around 100 millimeters is expected in the western and Sabaragamuwa provinces and also in certain locations in the Nuwara, Kandy, Galle, Matara and Puttalam districts. Several rounds of rain are also possible in the northern province as well as in the Anuradhapura district. Strong winds of the speed between 50 to 60 kilometers per hour could be experienced in the western slopes of the central highlands in the provinces of North, North Central, Sabaragamuwa, Northwestern and South as well as in the Trincomalee district. The meteorology report adds that speed of the winds from Chilao to Kankasanturai via Putlam and Mena and also from Galle to Potapil in the seas beyond the shores may increase up to 60 to 70 kilometers per hour from time to time. The Department of Meteorology informs naval and fishing communities not to engage activities in the seas until further notice.
More local news items in brief now. A protest was conducted over the false statement of Udaya Gammampila regarding the president's official German tour was held in front of the police headquarters in Colombo today. It was organized by Irshad Niaz Civil People's Organization. The protesters had handed over a letter to the police headquarters. A bus in the Hanguranketha depot plying towards Kandy from Hanguranketha via Adhikarigama crashed into a wayside shop. Our correspondent says that, however, nobody was injured in the accident. There were about 20 passengers in the bus at the time of the accident. A three-wheeler parked in an adjacent house had received minor damages. General Secretary of the Janatha Vimukti Peramuna, Tilvin Silva, who is currently on a visit to China, has met Chinese Communist Party Secretary of the CCP's Guizhou Provincial Committee, Zhu Lin. The meeting was held at the International Conference Hall in Guizhou. Acting Minister of Defence Aruna Jayasekara had visited the National Cadet Task Force headquarters in Pamankoda today. The Acting Defence Minister had looked into the problems at the Task Force headquarters and pledged they extend fullest government support to resolve the issues. NPP parliamentarian Sunil Ratnasiri was engaged in an observation tour at the Polonnaruwa depot yesterday. The MP said on this occasion that Polonnaruwa depot is one of among the 25 depots having problems and pledged to extend assistance to make these depots more productive. A sum of 14 million rupees was contributed for 4 farm organizations in Pollebadda in Mahawaya, Ampara under the Govi Bimata Punarudaya program initiated by the Sri Lanka Mahaweli Authority. Pollebadda is a village developed under the Rambakan Oyas scheme. Diplomatic relations between Sri Lanka and Thailand complete 76 years. A group of bhikkhus who have arrived from Thailand to further strengthen the bilateral relations were engaged in a walk from Kataragama to Kelaniya. The group of 44 Thai bhikkhus includes 3 Samaneras and 20 Dasasil Matas. The 191st annual feast and evening service of St. Anthony's Church, Kochikari, was held yesterday. Thereafter, St. Anthony's pageant has paraded. Remains of the Sri Lanka 11th Army Commander General Hamilton Monasinghe are being kept at the residence in Kalukondayava in Malvana. The funeral is scheduled to take place in General Cemetery, Boralla, tomorrow evening.
Russian embassy in Sri Lanka and Maldives hosted a reception to mark Russia's National Day, celebrated annually on the 12th of June. The event was organized highlighting the friendship and cooperation between Sri Lanka and the Russian Federation. The event was colorful with dances and cultural items showcasing the rich cultural heritage of the Russian Federation. Minister of Justice and National Integration Harsha Nanayakara served as the chief guest of the reception. The reception was organized under the patronage of Russian Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Levan Zagarian.
I have the pleasure of extending, on behalf of His Excellency President Anura Kumara Dissanayake, the government and the people of the Democratic Social Republic of Sri Lanka, and also on my own behalf, the warm felicitations and sincere best wishes to His Excellency President Vladimir Putin, the government and the people of the Russian Federation on this special occasion of the Russian National Day. This year, Sri Lanka and the Russian Federation marks the 68th anniversary of the establishment of formal diplomatic relations between the two countries. Both of our countries have for decades enjoyed strong political, economic, social, cultural and people-to-people linkages, shaped by mutual respect, our shared interests and our deep sense of solidarity. We also recall with gratitude the donation of 55,000 metric tons of potassium chloride fertilizer in December 2024 through the World Food Programme, which aimed at strengthening Sri Lanka's economic revival by fostering rural agriculture.
Russia provides humanitarian aid to the Republic as far as possible, and this practice will be continued, no doubt. We are pleased to note the growing interest of studying the Russian language here on the island. This stimulates our cooperation in the humanitarian sphere. The embassy, together with the cultural center and with the Sri Lankan partners, is making efforts to intensify cooperation in the field of healthcare, which meets the interests of our two countries. The treat rate has demonstrated consistently high indicates, and we just see here some of our friends who are very main and important exporters of tea, Ceylon tea, to my country, which is very famous. In conditions when Russian tourists are restricted from entering Europe, their flow to Sri Lanka will be increasing. And my message was the following one: don't go to Europe, come to Sri Lanka and other Asian countries.
The elephant Bhatia, which had remained in a serious condition for several days, had collapsed for the second time yesterday while receiving treatment. The elephant, roaming in the Ambanpole area in Galgamo, was kept on its feet through an aid of a machine last evening. Treatment of the Bhatia elephant, who was experiencing walking difficulty due to the inflammation in the upper section of its front right foot, had commenced a month ago. Officials of the Mahava Wildlife Office and the Nikavaratia Wildlife Veterinary Medical Unit were engaged in the treatment process. The beast had a wound in its trunk as a result of the shooting. The animal appears to be in an extremely weak condition. The national television has found out that an animal in a similar condition was successfully treated in India. The Indian wildlife officials had set up a special platform to station the elephant named Siddha, and feeding and treatment were conducted continuously. But in Sri Lanka, such treatment methodologies had not yet been conducted. However, it has been reported that several voluntary organizations are ready to extend cooperation to the Department of Wildlife to prepare a similar treatment model. And that's all the local news we have for you. More news, more foreign news on the other side of this break. In foreign stories this evening, at least 270 bodies have been recovered after a London-bound Air India plane crashed in the western Indian city of Ahmedabad as the rescue team continues to search the site of India's worst aviation disaster in 3 decades. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner, with 242 people on board and 125,000 litres of fuel, lost altitude seconds after takeoff on Thursday and crashed into a residential area, killing all but one on board and at least 24 others on the ground. Most bodies were charred or mutilated, and the local authorities are working to identify them by matching DNA samples as their relatives waited to perform their last rites. Authorities said it normally takes up 72 hours to complete DNA matching. India's Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu Kinjarapu said the flight's digital data recorder, or the black box, was recovered from his rooftop near the crash site by the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, which is leading the investigation into the crash. He said the government will look into all possible theories of what could have caused the crash. In sports stories, South Africa has been successful in securing the World Test Cricket Championship trophy by turning a new page in cricketing history. This was the first occasion of South Africa, boasting a Test cricket history of 136 years, of winning a World Cricket crown.
South Africa had competed with Australia in the finals of the World Test Cricket Tournament at the historic Lord's Cricket Stadium. South Africa has responded with 138 runs to the Australian first innings score of 212 runs. The Australian team has secured 207 runs in their second innings and therefore giving a victory target of 282 runs. At the commencement of the fourth day of the match today, the South African team has entered the field having 213 runs for the loss of 2 wickets, needing only 69 more runs for victory. The overnight not-out batsmen were Aiden Markram and captain Tim Bauma. They had easily built a 147-run partnership for the third wicket when Bauma was dismissed for 66 runs. Aiden Markram was out for 136 runs, with the team requiring 6 more runs for victory. However, South Africa had fulfilled the victory target of 282 runs, losing only 5 wickets. With this victory, South Africa had received the prize of $3.6 million, which is equivalent to 1.8 billion Sri Lankan rupees. South Africa, which had received test qualifications in the 1889, had been successful in reaching the semi-final round in 5 World Cup fixtures in Test cricket history. The victorious team had embarked upon the semi-finals in 2 T20 World Cup tournaments as well. However, the South Africans were not successful in the finals of the 2024 tournament.
In basketball news, both Sri Lanka men's and women's teams had secured victories against the Bangladesh teams in the South Asian Under-16 basketball tournament matches played yesterday. In the matches conducted in the Maldives island, the Sri Lanka men's team beat their counterparts by a margin of 116 to 28. In the first half as well, the Sri Lankan team was leading 62 to 16. The highest scorer of the Sri Lankan team was Gerald Aaron, who had collected 22 points. This was the maiden encounter Sri Lanka had faced in the tournament. The Sri Lanka women's team also beat the Bangladeshi team by 71 to 45. At the end of the first half as well, the score was in favour of the Sri Lankan team 30 to 16. Vinuti Jayasinghe has scored 24 points for the Sri Lankan team.
Varang unexpected and miswamon datang. Aslu Laira tankala pressure horikama fahagawan. Sri Lanka Vara Furusat.
And that's all the news we have for you tonight. Join us same time, same place tomorrow. It's me, Sonal, alongside Natalia, saying good night.
Good night.